welcome. You are watching Business Today TV. This is Market Today and I'm Sakshi Batra. Also joining in with me is Shail Bhatnagar. What a series this is turning out to be for the markets, especially the Nifty 50. Remember, the index has only declined once in this entire series so far. Even yesterday, we saw the Nifty 50 closing at fresh record highs. It has not only scaled the mark of 20,000, but it has also managed to sustain above it. But where should you be putting in your money to reap in maximum profits now? We'll find out, but first up, the top headlines we're tracking for you this hour. Indian stocks are likely to remain in steady state on Friday as strong cues from Wall Street underpin the Goldilocks rally on Dalal Street. Traders and investors are likely to pay more attention to relatively inexpensive blue chips on Friday as Indian stocks hope to post a record weekly close on the Nifty once again. Very good morning to all our viewers and good morning to you, Shail. Thanks a lot for joining in straight from Dubai on the morning show. Well, just like how I pointed out, for the week, the index is now up 1.4%. The question I have for you is, are we all set for the third straight weekly gain on the Nifty?
Good morning, Sakshi, and it's a pleasure to greet you as well as all our viewers from the Middle East, which is Dubai. Lovely weather here, by the way, and I hear that there has been torrential rain in Noida and Delhi as well.
Absolutely.
So, good things come in pairs, and that's what's happening for weather here as well, and in North India. Uh, the weather on Dalal Street is also fantastic. The trend is now completely bullish. We've seen very, very strong cues coming from Wall Street, which I'm sure you'll discuss in detail. But given that strong overhang of a good current in the market, we are most likely to see a positive close on Nifty even today. You rightly mentioned that it's a 1.4% gain this week, and this is the third straight week of continuous gains as far as the Nifty is concerned. We've seen a very positive close on the Dow Jones Index above the 50 DMA this day, yesterday night. So all that, good optimism is likely to flow into the Dalal Street. What is really happening, Sakshi, beyond 20,000 on the Nifty is that, there are contributions coming in from all sides. There are no great leaders of this rally as far as the Nifty constituents are concerned. On a given day, some or the other sector pulls up the Nifty by 20, 30, 25, 45 points. The crucial part to note is that Nifty is consolidating above the 20,000 level, and it is closing on a daily basis above the 20,000, 20,100 mark. So that means that bulls are gathering steam, and this is the third week of successive gains. So the sentiment across the board within the blue chip space is fairly strong. Yesterday, metals contributed handsomely. Hindalco and Tata Steel are shining very brightly within the Nifty. Stocks like UPL are contributing, Wipro are contributing. So these are not index heavyweights, but they, pull in 5, 7, 10 points, 3 points, 4 points. And the advanced decline ratio was so strong on the Nifty yesterday that we are not looking at contributions from index heavyweights like RIL, HDFC Bank. 20 stocks contribute 3 points each. That's good enough. And a few of them actually go down. So it actually, on a net basis, the Nifty is ending positive. If you see the index chain on the Nifty, we have been showing you for the moment the daily chart and the weekly chart on the index. And that shows extreme strength coming in. If you see the options chain, Sakshi, what's really happening is that now strong support is building on 20,000 options chain as also 20,100. Very strong options writing happening there, providing support to the bulls. And a fresh resistance is now emerging at 20,300. So the trading range for today would be, 20,300 on the upper side and 20,100 as far as the Nifty is concerned. No signs of panic anywhere The overall mechanism of the market is so good. There are no margin calls. You don't see brokers running helter and skelter. You don't see, large traders, institutions panicking because of margin calls. So, nice sentiment on the Lal Street. And uh, it being Friday, you won't see much of volatility. Uh, Traders would be happy if you close above 20,100, Sakshi.
Absolutely. And on the Nifty Bank also, Shell, we do know that Nifty Bank is facing slight hurdle to get to its record high level, yet it managed to close exactly at 46,000 yesterday, 370 points away from the record highs now, even though the index is still up about 2% for this entire week, which again will be the best week since mid of July that we've seen for the Nifty Bank. Do you think increasing support can now come in for from the Nifty Bank constituents now?
Yeah, Sakshi, and again, I'd like to say yes, a 2% uptick this week. And now that we are bang in the middle of September, it's 15th, from now, options prices will start to decay in the second fortnight of this wonderful month. But the fact remains that even here, there are no heroes. Private sector banks are in a down dip. Stocks like HDFC Bank and SBI Bank are not pulling their weight. So ICICI and Axis are making up for it. Sometimes, Kotak and IndusInd Bank shine. The strongest bank in Nifty Bank is Bandhan Bank.
Hmm.
So, that goes on to show that you know the front lines are not doing their work, but nevertheless the indices are rising because the smaller components are contributing that might. So it could be Federal Bank one day, it could be PNB, but I'm very sure that today there is a strong likelihood that you'll see a record close on the bank nifty as well. We are just 350 points shy of an all-time high. Let's see how that happens. Sometimes things just turn out the way you hope that they'll turn out, and then we go again finding reasons. But
Hmm.
good traction coming in, Sakshi, both on the nifty and the bank nifty.
Okay, and what do the FNOQs now suggest to you as we are just about 10, 12 days away from the series close again? Your thoughts?
Sakshi, FNO is abuzz with a lot of developments. I'm sure you remember a couple of days ago we were discussing UPL.
Hmm.
This was a stock that was in a downdraft and showing a lot of pain, multi-month lows on the chart. You and I were discussing it at 580. Now look at the daily chart. Very, very strong traction coming in yesterday's trade. I think it was the top gaining stock on the Nifty, closing at, six, if I remember well, 633 as far as UPL futures are concerned, and very, very strong open interest developments. Look at the chart. It's likely showing a very, very strong swing trade in the making as far as UPL is concerned. The open interest actually fell 2.4%, which shows that bears are removing their trades, and a very strong bout of short covering will see UPL gain further ground. At about 633, the counter was up about 4% yesterday, and extremely, extremely good charts. Very strong traction coming in cash volumes as well. And the delivery statistics are, will you believe it, 6x higher
Hmm.
in Thursday compared with Wednesday. So UPL definitely I am looking at on the charts, and of course the metal, Sarkari metal giant, PSU metal giant, National Mineral Development Corporation, a very strong breakout happening on those charts yesterday. This is a stock which has been in an uptrend, as you can make out from the chart that is there in front of you. And the same story, a strong development in open interest, about 3% higher. NMDC was the top metals gainer yesterday. The price ticket is very fine, 150 rupees. Very, very nice public sector company in the metal space, which in any case is shining very brightly. So these are the two stocks, Sakshi, that I'm looking at. 1.8x increase in delivery in NMDC on Thursday compared with Wednesday. So good things in these two charts is what I see. A swing trade and a breakout trade respectively in UPL and NMDC. Sakshi.
Okay, and we'll keep on tracking these stocks as we hit pre-open as well. NMDC yesterday was also at a 52-week high, and of course, news flows also of it raising the iron ore prices, supporting it fundamentally as well, with the realizations coming in. But let's now look at the global markets and the cues that we've got from the overnight US markets. All the major US indices ended higher on Wall Street as core producer price index climbed by 0.2% in August, in line with expectations. Remember, the Dow ended about a percent higher and logging its best day since August 7. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq also gained about 0.8% each in trade overnight, following which we did see Asian Pacific markets opening higher in trade ahead of the key economic data, which now has come ahead of expectations as well, which could further lend to some support throughout the trading session. Now, when we talk about, the kind of moves that we've been seeing, Nikkei, Kospi, Topex, all of them are up in trade. You can see Nikkei now trading over a percent higher, Kospi also 1% higher, Hang Seng, Shanghai, all of them by about 0.3% up in trade. Now, when we talk about the GIFT Nifty, that's also indicating a positive start for the Indian markets in today's trading action, and over 20,200 and thereabouts. So we'll keep an eye out on that one too. When we talk about the flows, the fund flows, overseas investors turned net buyers of Indian equity markets after 2 days yesterday. We did see the FPIs mopping up stocks worth 294, 295 odd crore rupees, while the domestic institutional investors became net sellers, offloading stocks by about 51 odd crore rupees after being net buyers for 5 consecutive days. Meanwhile, all eyes will also be on the crude levels. Remember, Brent crude prices have now been trading above $94 a barrel, and WTI crude is now up about $90 a barrel mark as well. Shail, wanted to ask you, is the higher crude price going to be turning into a major headwind for the upward momentum that we've been seeing in the Indian markets now?
Yes, Sakshi, and you hit it right on the head. I was wanting to discuss crude oil, and we've prepared a daily chart with you. On the screen, you will see scaling of 1992. This is, of course, the highest level in the past 10 months, and I am in crude oil processing region. I can tell you very, very strong demand which is in place, and at the same time, supply cuts are being discussed. So it's basically a squeeze that is happening, and it's reflected very well on the price from 77 to $90 a barrel. This is the daily chart in front of you. It's happened in less than a month, and of course, this is the only dampener that you see on the horizon when it comes to Indian stock markets. But when will this act? We don't know. As far as we are concerned, the Goldilocks rally is in place. And because of higher crude oil prices, the best things to look at are ONGC and Oil India, because
Yeah.
they are state run producers of crude oil. These two stocks. And we look at paints negatively, which
Yes.
is Asian Paints and Berger Paints, because crude oil extracts form a raw material source for paints. This is what sentiment has indicated over the last so many decades. Therefore, on the long side, ONGC and Oil India, and possibly on the weaker side, Asian Paints and Berger Paints. Sakshi, I believe Mayuresh Joshi has joined us. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Mayuresh Joshi, Head of Equity Research, William O'Neill, India, now joins in. Very good morning to you, Mayuresh. Great to have you with us. Great weather back in Delhi. Shail is joining us from Dubai, and we've been discussing crude oil. We should be asking him to get some crude oil packed and get back for us so that we don't have to worry too much about the rising crude oil prices here. But your thoughts on whether this can really play a spoil sport to the Goldilocks scenario that we are witnessing in the Indian equity markets that Shail's been talking about. Mayuresh, could you unmute yourself, please?
I'm unmuted.
Yeah, okay, great. Now we can hear you.
Morning, Sakshi. Morning, Shail sir. Always a pleasure to be on your show. Before Shail sir gets us crude, I think it will be sufficient only for a day with the kind of traffic that we've got in Mumbai and Delhi. Having said that, yes, I think a large extent to what the markets have probably gestated, specifically the US markets, and I was speaking to our team in the US yesterday night. there is a high possibility of a rate hike not happening in the September meet. Obviously, some indicators in terms of credit card delinquencies, in terms of pump prices, even in the US, moving higher, and mortgage applications going lower, are some elements which need to be watched out on the horizon. But on an immediate perspective, with the cuts that the OPEC countries have announced, 3 million barrels is something that can be a shortfall, with demand expected to remain stable. At the same time, the strategic petroleum reserves, Sakshi, that US holds, has dropped off significantly. So this is one thing that needs to be closely monitored. Because if the refill probably happens with crude cuts at some point of time, you might see crude prices moving even higher. So I totally subscribe. Crude derivatives, paint companies might see some cost pressures building up. But apart from that, the Indian context, as we've always maintained, is holding up pretty well, both from a macro perspective as far as the globe is concerned, and even from a micro perspective as far as earnings are concerned. A lot of sectors are holding up pretty well, even in the scenario of weakening global supply chains and demand probably tapering off. So Indian markets resilient, probably getting reflected in the mood, enthusiasm, and optimism. But a word of caution, valuations in some pockets have obviously overrun themselves. So you need to be extremely selective in these markets, such.
Right. Good morning, Mayuresh, and this time about 8,000 kilometers away from Mumbai. And I wish I could, sort of drive a super tanker from uh, from Dubai to Mumbai offshore and, cool down the prices. But, what can be said? But yes, fantastic. A very good analysis of the thought that is pouring into Indian equities. Very, very strong traction coming in. At the same time, when you talk about caution, tell us where you think valuations are looking overheated. What pockets one should stay away from? And if you have any stocks, then let's discuss them for the benefit of our investors.
Sure, Shelsa. So I think the pockets are obvious names, pockets within power, defense, railways. I think even if you assume this to be a structural story, which it is, the capacities that most companies have within these sectors is going to be sufficient over the next 2 to 3 years. So the market is assuming that with the order books that are probably increasing for all three, and all three sectors are fabulous structural stories. However, I think with capacities in place, the maximum utilization and optimization can happen over the next 2 to 3 years, which the markets have fully priced in to their prices.
Absolutely.
So they need to incrementally add on to capacities in the next few quarters to fulfill their order book. So I think they are pockets where overheating is there. Obviously, the classical defensives, pharma, IT, will come to the forefront. IT has already shown signs of significant earnings improvement, stability in terms of macro numbers and factors as well. But here again, I think mid-cap IT a little bit on the extended side, both from a valuation and price perspective. Large cap relatively better placed. What we basically like, Shell sir, is within the broader markets being very, very selective. You just spoke about a tanker that you might have wished that you could get to Mumbai from Dubai. I will help you that with containers. And a company which does that is Gujarat Pipavav Ports. So this is something that we like. The logic behind this is that the capacity with GPPL to handle containers is almost 1.3 million TEUs, 4 to 5 million tons of dry bulk cargo, 2 million tons of liquid cargo, and around 2.5 lakh cars in the roll-on, roll-off, which is the RoRo facility that they have. Completely mechanized port, and that is probably going to be reflected in terms of the numbers that they are probably handling. On the liquid cargo, for the quarter gone by, they've handled almost 1.03 million metric tons. And LPG imports are expected to show significant amount of growth even as we go into the next few quarters with the kind of power consumption that we've probably seen, an increase in LPG imports that we've already seen in terms of numbers. On the dry bulk front, obviously they've got a warehouse to store fertilizers. which should come back into focus in a large scale. They've obviously got two additional wagon loading equipment, rail lines, which are extremely essential to do these dry bulk activities, which helps them in maintaining the superiority of margins that we've got. In terms of the announcements that were just done in G20, the entire corridor that we are speaking about, a lot of activities will come into focus, including ports, which should have a compounded effect in terms of numbers that is zero ahead. As far as financials are concerned, the top line growth was very impressive last year. They crossed 850 odd crores. The PBT for the first time has exceeded 350 crores, 391 crores to be very, very specific. And the bottom line growth has been even better, close to 300 crores from 200 crores just a year back. Just an additional support, the dividend yield around 5% becomes an additional offer. So Gujarat Pipavav is something that we are liking very selectively from the mid-cap space. We obviously have risk management practices in place, and therefore we place a stop loss on this investment at 123.20. Clear disclaimer, this stock has been given as a research advice to our clients. Clients may be having positions. I do not have any positions in this.
Wonderful, Mayuresh. And the margin of safety in terms of stock price, if you see on Gujarat Pipavav port, is a high of 250, and the stock actually available somewhere like 45% below that. One more interesting thing that I could see in Gujarat Pipavav's financial was that it's a debt-free company, and when you look at a lot of other port stocks. Soaring in terms of price, soaring in terms of valuations. Gujarat Pipavav is available at a very stable and a relatively low PE of, let me see, somewhere like 19,
90.
yes, 19.4. And the other interesting thing is that this is actually a multinational with the Netherlands port company holding about a majority stake in the company in Gujarat Pipavav. So these are good points to look at. A very reasonable market capitalization of 6,200 crore rupees and an outperformer. The parent is APM Terminals, which is a Mauritius-based listed entity, but the owner of this is the Netherlands port company, and very very strong holdings coming in from HDFC Mutual Fund. They own 9% equity. ICICI Pru Small Cap Fund has 6.8% equity. Government Pension Fund 3.6. So it's a wonderful stock to look at. Do take some other financial opinion as well.
Yes.
But a great, great pick, Mayuresh share. Anything else that catches your fancy?
Uh, Obviously, out of the large cap names, because there is margin of safety here at this juncture, and within the large caps, we discussed Maruti last week. I think we continue to like Maruti. The reasons are very obvious. What the management has stated in the last 2 to 3 quarters, market share has slowly inched up to 45.5. Their aspirational target of coming back to that 48-49% mark seems to be on track because the kind of portfolio suite that they've got in terms of SUVs, which are getting launched, the response is pretty strong, and they've got a very strong order backlog to back this up. Makes it a very compelling case that volume growth should continue growing at a very decent pace. In terms of pricing, the pass-through in terms of input cost inflation that Maruti has done is largely baked in now. Some marginal increases might come through because you've seen steel prices again inch up a tad bit, but they do have contractual obligations in terms of how to price this on cost plus contracts with its vendors, and therefore marginal cost push-throughs might not affect prospective volumes going forward. The entire debate about diesel and how diesel cars should slowly get eliminated. Maruti already has 38% in terms of CNG and hybrid, which they are planning to increase to almost 45 odd percent in the next few quarters, which is a substantial chunk of their overall volumes. And even the overall export markets are expected to inch up as we move into the next few quarters. Extremely strong balance sheet, no issues on corporate governance, and very strong institutional holding. So this is one stock on pullbacks, which can definitely be considered.
Mayuresh, September will be known for two things. Maruti closing above 10,000 rupees per share on a monthly basis, and of course the Nifty hitting a record high of 20,000. So these two things have happened in one single month, and I remember Maruti's IPO at 125 rupees somewhere in 2004. Um, I was a fortunate allottee of this particular company,
Wow.
and I remain invested. Fabulous, fabulous stock, and unlikely ever that this will get out of the portfolio. But a fabulous description of what you say. And yes, better numbers are expected. The last time we saw Maruti cross 10,000 was somewhere in 2016. It did not close that month above the 10,000 mark. And now we see the possibility of this happening. So great developments. Maruti above 10,000 and Nifty above 20,000. I don't recollect what was the Nifty value in 2004, but let me check whether Maruti outperformed or Nifty did. I think it's a no-brainer. Maruti did. It's about,
Yes.
125 versus 10,500. Mathematically, I'll have to break my uh, work it in my brain as to the
And
number of
good bagger, Shell sir.
its returns. But such a wonderful stock that you've described. Two great ones today coming in from Mayuresh's quiver. GPPL, an MNC port company trading at very reasonable valuations, and of course, India's top draw when it comes to the automobile space, which is Maruti. I think I'm a little edgy on time here because there is a time difference. I believe, Sakshi, the markets, the pre open is about to
Yes,
start.
it's just about 30 seconds, but let's quickly welcome Akshay Bhagwat, Senior Vice President of Research at JM Financial Services. He's also with us. Akshay, very good morning to you. Just before the pre-open, which is your top pick that you're going to go with today? Akshay, can you hear us?
Yes.
Which is your top pick that you will go on with today?
With the index, I'll start with the index.
Okay, tell me, what is your call on the Nifty today?
Okay, you want the call. All right, just a minute. I have two calls which I have sent. So the one is on UPL and the other one is on granules. Both are on the buy side.
UPL and granules.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And in fact, the markets are just about to hit pre-open right now. I see a dip right now on the Sensex and the Nifty. Sensex down by about 50 odd points at 67,465. The Nifty just about 79 points lower in trade, 20,023. We'll look for the markets to settle down. But in the meanwhile, UPL looks to start in the positive zone itself, 3.8% higher in the pre-opening session. Also looking at the Hindalco counter from the metals pack, that's also inching up higher by about 3 odd percent from the Nifty basket. And like Shail was pointing out, oil and gas space will be in focus, and ONGC looks to start the session by about 2% higher in trade. We also have from the auto basket some stocks pulling up. M&M, for example, looks to start the day at 1.9% higher at 1580. Eicher Motors at 3352, about 1.8% higher in trade. Divis Laboratories is pulling up 1.8% higher at 3830. We have Tata Steel, that's also inching up 1.6% higher. About 132 odd levels. Tech Mahindra, that's another stock that's inching up by 1.5%. Uptick can be seen for this one. Let's also look at some of the other technology stocks. HCL Technology is about 0.6% higher in trade right now. Infosys, let's look at that one, about half odd percent of an uptick for this one, 1520 currently for Infosys right now. The other movers, L&T, that's starting about 0.4% higher in trade. And apart from this, let's look at some of the banks now. What are the banks really doing at this point in time? I think Axis Bank is starting with 0.6% uptick in today's session. You also have some financial services names. Bajaj Finance is about 0.25% of an uptick can be seen. Maruti, let's look at that one. Another pick by Mayuresh, about 0.1% higher in trade. UPL already mentioned by, Akshat, and that's definitely inching higher by about 0.7% up right now at 636 odd levels currently. Shell, anything else that you've spotted?
Yes, Sakshi, Nifty's back in the green, 50
Yeah.
points higher. 20,150 is with the Bulls. And let's see how Friday pans out. There's a party scene happening in Dubai, and there's a party scene which is continuing in the Lal Street. So, a very strong close, firmly above the 20,100 point mark, is most likely on the Nifty for this week, which means that for the third successive week in a row, we'll see some positive developments coming in as far as Nifty charts are concerned. Let's look at other high beta counters where mostly a lot of bull strength is concentrated. Defense, BEML 1.2% higher, 2405. I've seen strong traction coming in Cochin Shipyard, 0.5% higher, 1091. Midhani, 0.5% higher, 413. Let's look at the entire PSU setup of 79 companies, which we track as far as business today is concerned. Sakshi, the top gainer is NMDC. We discussed this a while ago, 2.5% higher, 153.80. National Aluminium, 2% higher, 101.45. ONGC and Oil India, 2% up each, reflecting the strong momentum in global crude oil prices. Let's get Akshat into this conversation. Good morning to you, Akshat. Your very quick view on ONGC. What are the charts telling you?
Good morning, Shailji. Thanks for the invite on the show. Well, if I look at the chart structure of ONGC, it's a very strong chart structure. It's got past its recent consolidation area, which we saw a few trading sessions back around 180 to 185 was the zone where this congestion was. So clearly, a breakout above 180 just sets this stock up for upside targets still around 210. So positional targets with a time horizon of 10 to 15 trading sessions promise a target of 215. The stop loss on this trade would be below 177.
All right, Akshay, what is your call going to be on some of the paint stocks? We've seen that Asian Paints has been under pressure, and yesterday we heard Grasim talking about foray into the paints business in Q4 itself. But looking at the crude oil prices, how are you looking at some of these already paint majors like Asian Paints, Berger Paints, and what would your call be here?
Well, from the paint stocks, Berger Paints is better placed on the technical charts from a short-term perspective over Asian Paints. Berger Paints, as it trades yesterday, 729 was the closure, and there's a strong support zone building up in the range of 715. So we believe this is a strong support from where the stock has a good tendency to recover. We might see upside targets still around 750 to 760 in the short term. And Berger Paints, as I said, is more preferable over Asian Paints. So that would be the buy recommendation if one is looking out for stocks in this particular space.
Mayuresh, what
Ak-
would I just wanted to take Mayuresh's take on the paint stocks as well, Michelle. Mayuresh, how are you looking at the entire paint space? Amidst this news flow that Grasim is now going to be entering, Birla Opus is the brand name that they have chosen under which they will be coming out with the paints. And what would that mean? Asian Paints has definitely been a clear wealth creator for decades now. Does it have any impact on such a large market leader?
Not an immediate impact, Sakshi, because the capacities to come up are going to take time. So from an immediate perspective, over the next 4 to 8 quarters, they will still maintain their leadership position. However, in view of competition, and a lot of companies are expanding their capacities, a lot more players, like you mentioned, are entering the space itself, will make life a little bit difficult because the entire growth that is expected to come through is from tier 2, tier 3 towns, which is extremely price sensitive in terms of these value additions that need to be done, either in terms of home improvement or otherwise. And therefore, the expectations in terms of as competition grows up over the next 2 to 3 years, will volumes come under pressure? Will pricing come under pressure? There is a high probability and a possibility. But Asian Paints has a leadership position, at least at this juncture. No immediate impact. but over the next 2 to 3 years, some cracks will start showing into the putty part of their business as we speak.
Let's hope those cracks come as late as possible. Asian Paints has been one of the poster boys of the wonderful compounding story that the market has seen over the last maybe 25, 30 years. I remember a statistics once I saw, Sakshi, apart from 2008, when there was a global downturn in equities, every single year, Asian Paint has given a positive return
Yes.
from 2000 to 2022. That's the data that I remember offhand in my brain. And this is not 10%, 12% up. In some years, 30%, 40%, 45%. So those kind of stellar returns have come in. And let's see whether the picture gets dimmed a bit or the shine remains as far as paint companies are concerned. Coming to Akshay. Akshay, your top pick in the metal space, we've seen a very, very sharp sheen coming onto a lot of metal counters like Hindalco, Tata Steel, NMDC. Where do you think your preference lies in this pack?
Well, the metal space really has been hogging the limelight in the past couple of months, and two of stocks specifically are showing buy signals from a positional perspective right from the current levels. One would be Hindalco, first to mention, because it has maintained to stage a breakout above the 500 zone. So this was the immediate swing high which we saw way back in the month of January 23. The positive chart structure, the momentum is strong. The derivative readings also couple up with the chart structure to possibly hint for a positional targets of 550 plus. So I will be betting on Hindalco with a stop loss of 480. That would be my first pick from the metal space. And the second one would be Jindal Steel and Power, which again is an interesting chart, which is strongly building up or both on the longer term space as well as the shorter term charts. Here, the stock is trading almost, you can say, at its near its lifetime highs. It's approaching the lifetime high, which was around 790, which was seen way back in 2008, 2009. So there's where the prices mostly are moving for. I would recommend to continue holding longs or even build buy positions in Jindal Steel at the current rate, expecting all-time highs to be conquered soon, and the stop loss on this trade would be below 670.
Fine. This is the metal space that Akshay is talking about. Uh, a few other counters that are in the limelight are Akshay Balkrishna Industries. This is, of course, the specialist tire making company that India has in the auto space. And very strong traction coming in yesterday, 4.5% up in terms of stock price. A very strong breakout. What are the charts telling you?
Well, from the short-term perspective, the charts are really interesting because there's where the momentum is in the stock. You can easily anticipate an upside target till 2690 within 3 to 4 trading sessions because there's where the recent swing high stand, which we saw way back in September 21. But if you go for slightly longer-term charts, the all-time high is roughly around 2600. We saw this way back again, the same highs we saw in September month 2021. So that's a strong resistance. So if you were to time it from a technical front, right now it fits more from a trading category. It has a strong set of resistance near 2600. So I would recommend this to go for a momentum play with a target set around 2600.
Right. I wanted to ask both you, Akshay, and Mayuresh, on the sugar space and especially on Balrampur Chini, the top FMCG gainer in F&O space yesterday. And, the kind of price action we have seen, the open interest that we've seen is pretty strong. Akshay, your thoughts on Balrampur Chini and what should investors do today?
Well, firstly, the buying interest is so strong in Balrampur that I believe this is now gone into the FNO ban space today. So the limits are full. Market-wide limits have been hit in Balrampur Chini yesterday. Now you can participate on the cash side of this trade. There was a strong breakout at 430, and I believe even the news about the shortage of sugar is helping out this sector to a great extent. The breakout just promises a target of around 475 from a medium-term momentum front in this sugar stock. The stop loss on this trade would be below the breakout zone at 430. So definitely most of the counters in the sugar space look exciting. Balrampur Chini, which we discuss, possibly is heading for 475.
Mayuresh?
Momentum can very well continue, Sakshi. The sugar shortage, the story that is now being very, very prominent, is propelling sugar prices to an all-time high as we speak. Brazilian output expected to be short. A lot of Southeast Asian economies output expected to be short, and so is the Indian context. So sugar price is on the boil. The entire story is all about ethanol and distillery operations. So for Balrampur, with the expansions that they have done, 35 crore liters is the optimum capacity that they can probably produce. And they will to a large extent with better realizations, which mean the overall balance sheet is shielded to a large extent because of the distillery part. The only risk, Sakshi, that I see in sugar companies is with elections looming around the corner, any abrupt increases in fair and remunerative prices by the center or state advised prices by the states, like Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra, will mean some element of pain for sugar companies. But that's to be seen at a later stage. The momentum probably continues with the risk factor.
Okay, two more stocks, and that's from the pharma space that I wanted to discuss. First, Mayuresh, you, and then Akshay can give us the targets for each of them if he tracks it. Strides Pharma, it's got a tentative approval from US FDA for the tablets that are used in first-line HIV treatments. Yesterday, the stock was up 1%. It is looking to start with a 4.5-5% uptick today. The other one is Gufic Biosciences. It's got a patent for an invention for 20 years starting 2021. Again, the stock was about 0.5% higher in trade yesterday. 4.5% already it's looking in the pre-opening trade. For both of these stocks, what would your call be, Mayuresh?
So the momentum might continue for paucity of times, actually almost 9:15. I think what we like from the pharma space is Dr. Reddy's.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Akshay? Any of these stocks that you like?
Well, Strides Pharma, as you say, it's backed by news. It's mostly a breakout candidate because it closed at the upper end of the resistance band at 490. So a positive breakout just kind of validates the view along with the news flow. Mostly the stock is heading for an upside of 530 to 550. You can even time it on the opening, despite it opening 4 to 5% up. The stop loss will be 470, and 540 to 550 can be your target with a 1 week horizon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's start the party on Friday with a 60-point uptick on Nifty. 20,162 is what I see in front of me. Immediately, let's look at the heavyweights which are contributing to this gain. Infosys, 0.6% higher, 1517 on the charts. Reliance Industries, 2460, ticking 0.4% higher. What about HDFC Bank? 0.6% higher, 1652. These are the three heaviest weighted counters in the index. If they are in the green, then things look better for the rest of the day as well. Nifty now 57 points higher, 20,160 in front of me. LNT in the green, 2930. The stock is near a record high, consolidates there. Green signals coming in from ICICI Bank, 991.70, 0.4% higher, as also Axis Bank at the moment flat, 1020. What is weak? FMCG is weak. ITC down a third of a percent, and Hindustan Unilever 1% lower. These are the index heavyweights, and the Nifty now 60 points higher, 20,160. Let's look at the top gainers as far as the FNO space is concerned. Metals shine through. National Aluminium 2.3% higher, 101.75. Jindal Steel, the one that just was discussed by Akshay, 1.3% higher, 720. We have Hindalco 1.3% higher at 504.45. NMDC Steel, JSW Steel, all in the green. Let's shift focus to NSE 500 immediately and look at stocks which are shining forth. Okay. CDSL 4.5% higher, 1380. MRPL 94.40, 2.5% higher. I have Oil India 2% higher, 284, and National Aluminium ticking 2.5% higher. Zomato is 1.5% higher as far as trade is concerned. What's looking good in the FNO space? Balrampur Chini 1.8% higher, 442.80. HDFC Bank is the one that's clicking up in the green. Bajaj Auto 2.8% higher. RECL getting its mojo back up again. The stock concentrating on consolidating near record levels. Let's look at high beta. We've discussed Policy Bazaar. I want to see what BHEL is doing. This is one of the stocks that decides the fate of how sentiment is. 0.5% higher, 130. What else is sticking in the green? RECL is the top gainer, 2.8% higher, 253. Without any further delay, let's get Akshay into the conversation. Akshay, a very nice opening as far as the broader markets are concerned. Nifty Bank 103 points higher, Nifty IT 200 points higher, and the Nifty now consolidating around 20,150 range. Your view on RECL Limited, the top gainer in the PSU bank in the PSU basket?
REC Limited just bore the brunt of selling a couple of days back, but now, right now, as it closed yesterday, it's closed at a very strong support zone on the short-term trading parameters, which stands around 245 to 250 area. So from these area, the stock is more vulnerable for a recovery attempt, which may extend all the way up till 260 on the short-term front. That's from a 4 to 5 day trading horizon. So I feel there's going to be a short-term recovery that may extend to 260. But as I understand, the broader charts are hinting for more of a time consolidation now in this stock, where 245 to 260 can be the range which it may stay in for the next 8 to 10 trading sessions.
Okay. Few stocks that I also wanted to discuss. Patel Engineering, that stock is up by 5% odd. There's news flow. The JV has declared a lowest bidder right here. 5% uptick for Patel Engineering. Akshay, do you track this stock? What would your call be here?
Patel Engineering too, the charts are strong. I believe the volume aspect is not much heavy in this. So, technicals really would not work much on this. But whatever data pieces I have on this, it looks a strong chart for a possible target of 60. It's a positive setup, I can say. But the volumes are too less, to take a directional bet on this.
Okay. Mayuresh, would you care to give a view on Bharat Forge, Kalyani Forge? Both of these stocks are in focus today. Again, news flows backing it. Bharat Forge will be producing wide range of armored vehicles now, along with UAE-based Paramount and Kalyani Steel, and Kalyani Forge also from the group is up in trade today.
So again, I think the non-defense part for Bharat Forge is expected to grow exponentially, Sakshi, over the next few years. Obviously, the subsidiary company is Kalyani Steel that you mentioned, very, very specialized steel that they probably make, which is used in very special applications. And therefore, the kind of realizations that they have are extremely robust, even as we move ahead. A lot of these forging stroke fabrication companies are doing exceptionally well. Take the example of one of their peers, RK Forging. If you look at their presentation, the markets are expected to move exponentially higher. So they're looking at new geographical areas. The machining hours are expected to move from 59 to 74 odd percent. And new fabrication improvements can be between 0 to 7. So I think there's a lot of change that is probably happening for this entire space itself, forgings, fabrication, castings, which can continue doing well over the next few quarters.
Okay, let's look at prices again. We are at about 920, and Nifty is now 50 points higher. So 20,150, 20,160 is what the range is. Coming to you, Akshay, your view on Bank Nifty, about just 250 points left from an all-time high. Uh, Sitting back, what are the medium-term charts of Bank Nifty telling you? HDFC Bank is now up 1%. I believe you are going to see a fresh record high on Nifty Bank fairly soon in today's trade. Your views, Akshay?
I agree, Shailji. It's the all-time highs levels are in sight for Bank Nifty. 46 350 to 46 400 is where it is heading for. But that's a major challenging area if you are looking from a short-term perspective, because we saw this level way back in July 23. So that will be some sort of immediate resistance from a fresh long addition perspective, because it might hold there for the time being. On the medium-term charts, as I said, the charts are fabulous. regardless, achieving lifetime high is just an indication that banking does have strength. And even if you look at the individual bank names, the PSU banks have been in hogging the limelight in the past few trading sessions, and I believe it's going to the private space going ahead. The likes of ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, IndusInd Bank, all these are going to get into the picture soon. So I believe banking space is there to stay for medium term. Short term, yes, there are minor hurdles at the all-time high, but these are minor just for this for from a trading perspective.
Absolutely. So 46,350 is fairly close when it comes to the all-time high, and we are just about 235 points shy from it. Uh, it's a strong tick, Akshay, on HDFC Bank, the highest weighted stock in Nifty Bank as well as Nifty. Would you care to read the charts for us? 1656, 0.7% higher, and a green tick in open interest as well.
Uh, HDFC Bank firstly has shown a very strong recovery from its support base area of 1580. If you look at the chart activity right from the beginning of this year, 1560 to 1720 has been the prevalent range. So a strong recovery from the bottom just sets this chart up from a medium term for back for the upside end of the range, which stands at 1720. Yeah, so 1720 is what you can look from for a 3 month perspective. Yes, minor hurdles would be there at 1660. I believe today they would be FTSE rebalancing, which might see some bit of volatility in this counter in the second half. Otherwise, leaving that aside, 1720 is where we are heading for from a slightly medium term perspective.
All right, and Shell is excited about some perfect numbers coming on the screens. The Nifty is at 20,000, Maruti, which Mayuresh pointed out, is 10,000, and now Bajaj Auto has crossed the 5,000 mark as well. And Mayuresh, you're the best one to give us some nice lyrics here also, just like how you had spoken about last week to us. Tell us, what is your thought on the auto space?
No, we remain bullish, Sakshi. So I think the numbers are probably indicating that. और वे multiples हैं वो काम कर रहे हैं. तो मुझे लगता है I think we should all start speaking in tables of 10, not even 5, or tables of 50. जो मुझे आते नहीं है, so don't quiz me on that. So,
but should investors say हमारा Bajaj now? It's like the question.
Absolutely. Yeah, the management is walking the talk. And therefore, I think these stocks have done phenomenally well. Obviously, valuations is one aspect that you can always argue about. So anybody holding on can hold on. But there is one company within the auto ancillary space, in fact, two ones, which can be kept on your radar. Uno Minda, which is a market leader in terms of both the switches part, the lighting part, the castings part as well. And they are getting large or big time into 2 and 4-wheeler wireless charging. So that is going to be a big aspect in terms of the development perspective. And the numbers are also pretty reasonable, around 11% EBITDA margin, decent top line growth, and negligible amount of debt. And the other one is PM Industries. As the industry grows, and specifically two-wheelers, which I subscribe to Shell sir, is going to be at the cusp of transition in terms of EV mobility. FIAM can also be something on your watch list purely for the reason in terms of the sheer diversity of customers that they've got. Both the traditional ones and the EV mobility ones, including Ola, they're providing to Harley. They've got TBS as their big customers as well. We are expanding big time. And therefore, these two auto ancillaries can also be kept on your radar as far as the industry.
Sakshi, a word on Bajaj Auto. I don't think so, Akshay, and you were actually even born, but one of the longest running advertising campaigns in 1980s of India has been Buland Bharat Ki Buland Tasveer, and that's Bajaj Auto for you. A very quiet overachiever. If you look at the year-to-date performance of the Nifty, the index is up about 11%, and Bajaj Auto is up about 34%. So that's the level of outperformance that this stock has very quietly notched up when it comes to the Nifty group, and it's the second best gainer within the auto space. Of course, Tata Motors taking it away on the Nifty, 41% higher. Akshay, Anything that Bajaj Auto is doing on the charts, please share with us. Record high today. The top Nifty gainer at about 4.5%. And of course, it's in the 5,000 rupee category.
Well, Shailji, about Bajaj Auto, just what you said, even I belong to the 1980s era. And, these are nostalgic memories which you get back about the jingle which you just mentioned about Bajaj Auto. So, yes, all-time highs, the recent swing highs have got passed through at 5,000. So that just shows the strength that this auto space has. 4,900 is the strong support for Bajaj Auto, and I think it's heading for 5,300 from a positional perspective. All the parameters it stands on, derivatives, technicals, everything is a tick off, and it's a counter where you should have a buy position on.
Wonderful. Uh, Mayuresh will confirm that one of the strongest balance sheets and one of the best treasury houses is what Bajaj housed in Pune. The uh, the booklet that described the treasury holdings of Bajaj Auto somewhere in the 1990s would run into 28, 29 pages, Sakshi. That was the strength of Bajaj Auto's balance sheet. Mayuresh.
Oh, absolutely. And you're absolutely right in terms of how well managed the entire corporate has been over decades, Yelsa. So it's very
Yes,
difficult
absolutely.
to maintain this kind of governance over decades. And they've even transformed themselves. So the entire transformation which has happened over the last few years, the last few decades, has been exceptional. The current MD, he is sitting on the shop floor for most time, which shows the kind of passion and commitment one needs.
Absolutely. Let me just show all our viewers Shakti Pump's share. Let's pull that up. The stock is up 8.5, 9 odd percent. The company has just received an order of 239 odd crore rupees. So that stock has suddenly ticked up. Let's look at this one. 882 currently, about 12% higher right now on Shakti Pumps. Akshay, do you have a call on this one?
Well, if I look at the charts, 900 is a very strong point for Shakti Pumps. 880 is where it trades right now. So the momentum can just pull it up till 900 or 920 at the best. 920 would be a decision point for me if I were to go by the technical readings, because that coincides to be a strong breakout area. So at the current juncture where it is poised, I would play for a target of 920 with a stop loss of around 850. 920, as I said, let's see whether the breakout matures at that point or not. We'll review it there.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Uh, yes, Shell.
Sakshi, there is an interesting development that's happened. The first 15 minutes of trade is in front of us, and the Nifty has held on to its gains, which is the 50-point uptick on the Nifty and about the 100-point uptick on Bank Nifty. Let's look at the broader markets. There are about, as far as advanced declines are concerned, a very strong day for the bulls. 1,400 shares are in the green on the National Stock Exchange and just 365 in the red. Look at the NSE 500. The index is 0.2% higher, 17,644. 350 shares in the green, 125 in the red. So very, very strong bullish move coming in the broader markets. I believe this is also the time to bid goodbye to both Mr. Mayuresh Joshi and Akshay on the screen. Thank you so much, Mayuresh, for your time, as also Akshay. What a pleasure to listen to UPL from Akshay and Gujarat Pipavav Port and Maruti from Mayuresh. I just calculated the multi-bagger returns on Maruti, Mayuresh, before you go. It's an 84 bagger from the
Wow.
time it was listed at 140 rupees to what it is now, 10,400. So that's how wealth is created.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Shelsa. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. Pleasure always.
All right, let's get back to the markets. I think, Shell, what's interesting to see is that most of the sectors are racing past each other. The IT, the auto, and the healthcare indices, they're taking turns by turns to become the top sectoral gainers in trade. Of course, right now, IT has again taken that top spot on the sectoral indices front. And a lot of both the large caps and mid caps are actually buzzing in trade. Like how Mayuresh was pointing out earlier, of course, these have been the stocks we've discussed widely, stocks from the mid cap basket, Emphasis, Coforge, LTI, Mindtree, all of them are again up by about 2 odd percent in trade today. From the heavyweights, we again have HCL Tech, Wipro, Tech Mahindra. These are the stocks that are buzzing. Even Tata Consultancy Services is up by 0.7, 0.8 odd percent. LTTS, that is L&T Technology Services, that's also up in trade. Persistent Systems we widely discussed as well. Looks like, they are finally coming out of their underperformance and they would now participate in the next rally.
Believe you've seen very, very strong traction coming in on the entire mid-cap IT space. And one interesting statistic that I'll give you, there are 10 stocks in the Nifty IT index. All 10 of them are in the green. As far as the F&O space is concerned, and also the Nifty, it's the IT basket that is contributing handsomely to today's gains. Let's look at how IT stocks are faring on the broader technology theme. Remember Oracle Financial Services, the parent had given up a very, very bad quarter, and the stock in the US markets had fallen 13% post its quarterly announcement. Today, it's the top gainer, 2.7% higher, 4,403. A very, very strong parentage, very strong balance sheet, phenomenal dividend paying company, and one of the quietest overachievers that we've seen in the F&O space, Oracle Financial Services, the top gainer today. Of course, it's led by mid caps, Emphasis, Coforge, all in the green, Tech Mahindra and Wipro. And remember, it was Infosys that started the first uptick on the Nifty, and that thread has been taken forward when it comes to the broader markets in the metals, in the IT space. But it's the metals that are taking it away, Sakshi. National Aluminium 2.6% higher, in front of me 101.10. Coal India 2% higher to 84. Vedant 1.3% higher to 40, and Hindustan Copper 162.35. Sakshi, what are you watching?
Absolutely. A lot of mid-cap stocks, even though we've been, Shail, you and I have been discussing and you've been talking about how caution needs to be warranted in both the mid and the small caps after this such kind of a, move that we've seen. But looks like investors are still not leaving the space. We're looking a whole lot of stocks that are buzzing in trade. CRM Silk, that's up by about 8 odd percent in trade today. Restaurant Brands Asia, that's up by 10, 12 odd percent. These are the stocks that are buzzing the most in the space. In fact, Akshay is back with us. Akshay, welcome back to the show. Anything from the mid-cap basket that attracts you at the current levels?
Well, if I look from the mid-cap space, these new age companies, again, I believe they are setting up for a good recovery here. If you look at Zomato, especially, the chart structure has been strong enough even after the selling a little bit of jerk, which we saw in the stock, on the mid-cap sell-off a couple of days back, has recovered back above 100. I'm targeting 125 on the upside in Zomato. The support is 95, a very strong setup on the technical charts. That would be one stock I would following keenly. And even if you look at Avenue Supermarts from the new age space, this too is has a very strong chart structure, recovery candidate, placed very well around the 3788 area in a consolidation right now, but I'm targeting around 4,000 in a short time frame of around 1 to 1.5 months. So these two stocks would be on my watch list. Yes.
Uh, Akshay, coming back to the PSU theme, one stock that has gained dramatic attention over the last week has been Andrew Yule. 3% higher today, and I remember a couple of upper circuits that the stock hit at a wonderful price point of just 34.70 and a very, very strong volume breakout. What is Andrew Yule's chart talking about?
Well, There was a breakout as I see it on the charts at 33. This was backed by strong volume action. This volume has been very strong. The largest volume I see in this 2023. So that confirms just the strength of the breakout. So 33 is where the supports are in Andrew Yule. It's more of a momentum pick from here on. 40 to 42 might be on the charts right in the 10 to 15 trading session time span. So I would suggest you can hold or be a buyer. Stop loss would be below 30, 31, and target, as I mentioned, 40 to 42 on the upside.
Fantastic. It's a market capitalization, Sakshi, of just 1646 crores, and the stock has just shot up dramatically. You know, the April low was about 19 rupees, and now at 34. It's seen a very, very strong move coming in. And as very rightly Akshay describes it, the breakout was in volume yesterday, following it up with the price. I remember 26, 27, this stock used to languish for quite a while, but last 2 days have been a dramatic rise in volume. And very rightly pointed out, yesterday's volume was the highest in at least 2023, the one that you can make out at once. The Nifty consolidating around the 20,135 point mark. So 150 is the battle point for the bulls as far as the strength is concerned. And let's hope for a close above 2150 today, a weekly close, 3 weeks in a row, good sentiment coming in, and that's how Nifty's placed. Your call on Akshay UPL. Let's discuss this. It's a swing trade in the making, and a very strong support coming in at 580, 590, 600 levels. Would you analyze the medium term prospects of UPL?
Well, medium term, if you look at, I am looking at UPL from as a reversal candidate. If you look at the monthly charts, the stock has been a severely beaten down stock. It's been more of an underperformer in terms of how the market has been fast paced in the last 3, 4 months. But from here on, UPL is what will move or will reverse irrespective of how the market plays out from here. It has built a good support base at 580 or 590, as you just mentioned. Last 3 weeks have been fab for the stock. It's shown a good recovery tendency from the support zone. It's been backed by volumes and even with the derivatives data where strong put writing action is placed at the 600 strike. Even on the daily charts, if you look at, there was an inverse head and shoulder breakout, which is a positive bullish pattern. I'm targeting around 650 to 650 on a positional front with a time horizon of 15 to 20 trading sessions. And possibly a stop loss on this trade would be below 595 from a positional front. But it's a bullish counter from the chemical space, and certainly I believe has a lot of promise going ahead.
All right.
You know, one interesting statistic, Sakshi, I'd like to share about
Absolutely, sure.
UPL is that if you look at the annual performance of the Nifty, UPL is the worst performing stock, down about 15.4%. So it's a swing trade in the making. Once the stock has made a decent base by consolidating around 580, 590, 600, it's a time for the chart to do its magic. And the all time high that we've seen on UPL is about 864. So at 629, there is a relative margin of safety. Of course, chemicals is going through a very, very bad phase, but that's the reason that is very well reflected in the stock price. So far, 20,150 for the Nifty, 46,071 for the Bank Nifty, and it's a 250 point uptick on the Nifty IT index, 33,285. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Let's again keep an eye out on the pharma pack. The healthcare index is now pulling up as the second top gainer on the Nifty, and you're looking at stocks like Metropolis Healthcare, Ipca Laboratories, Laurus Labs, Dr. Lal Path Labs. All these diagnostic space really buzzing in trade. Anything from the diagnostic space, Akshay, that you like at this point?
Yeah, the diagnostic and the healthcare space specifically has shown a good tendency of recovery or a pullback in the last few trading sessions. Here, the one which you mentioned just now is Metropolis 1498, where it trades right now, heading for the recent swing high of 1520, which is a minor resistance of sorts. But I believe this too should be taken off, and possibly we are heading for targets of around 1600 from a 1 month perspective, I may put it. 1440 is a strong support base, and that the stop loss should be below those supports. So a positive chart structure, this is where you can go for your buy bets. Metropolis Healthcare. The second one which I would look at would be Apollo Hospitals. Here a strong breakout of an inverse head and shoulder pattern on the weekly or the slightly longer term charts at 4800. The stock has retested its breakout areas, again showing a good tendency of a bounce back from the trendline support backed by volumes. Should be heading for the highs of 6,000, which we saw way back in November 22. So another buy candidate in the making. Buy with a stop loss below 4,800 for a target of 6,000 from 1.5 to 2 month perspective.
Okay. Akshay, how are you looking at the PSU banking space? Again, many of the banks are buzzing in trade today. UCO Bank is up by about 5.5, 8, 6 odd percent today. Indian Overseas Bank, Punjab and Sindh Bank, Central Bank, all of them up in trade. We've been seeing many of these stocks buzzing off late as well. Which would be your top pick from the PSU banking basket today?
Well, PSU banks certainly have been in the limelight, and if you especially see a particular feature of this is these small priced banks which are doing exceptionally well. So probably the hot money is chasing these bank names where the price is smaller in terms of where the percentage gains can be higher. Even it places as a favorite bet for the retail clients. Here, my top bets would be first will be Punjab National Bank, which has shown a very strong breakout tendency in the last three trading sessions. The breakout was around 68 odd levels. It is giving me a target of around 90 rupees on the upside. 68, as I said, is a strong support. Stop loss I will place will be below 65, and 90 is the target I'm gunning for. The second trade here would be Canara Bank and Bank of Baroda. Now, Canara Bank too is another breakout candidate. Volumes have been strong, backed by strong derivative numbers. Again, this bank is also setting up from strong gains on the positional front. Currently, 365. 400 is where it should be heading for. 655 is the support. I will place my stop below 350 for a long trade. And lastly, Bank of Baroda, which I mentioned, is another PSU bank which we have advised our clients to be trading on, possibly heading for around 230 on the upside. Strong derivative price action combines it for these targets. 200 is the support, 195 is where the stop I place for a target of 225 to 230.
Right. A very, very strong report coming in from the PSU banking basket as far as the technical charts are concerned, and very well points taken, especially on Bank of Baroda. Remember, at 203, 204 rupees, the stock is still trading above its book value, and it should be in record high territory fairly soon, which is 230, the target that Akshay just mentioned. And the mid cap PSU banks such as Maharashtra Bank, UCO Bank, as also Indian Overseas Bank, Bank of India, all of them showing very, very strong traction thanks to very strong balance sheets, falling NPAs, falling gross NPAs, as well as the rise in credit demand. This is how the markets are at about 946, and we'll over a period of time also get a corporate guest from the IPO stable. We are just waiting for the company to connect as of now. But Akshay, when you speak to both clients as well as traders, what is the sentiment that you are able to gauge when it comes to expectations for the market as well as Nifty from current levels?
Well, if you look at the clients, the last 3 to 4 months have been very rewarding for the clients, especially the mid-cap space has been showering the returns on the clients. So, that's the space where the clients have been extremely positive on. And despite the scare which we got, a reality check which we got a couple of days back, still people are invested in those stocks. The hope is still in that the mid-cap might see new life highs. So the sentiment is positive. People are bullish. Nifty is at record highs, and with elections just 6 months down the line, the sentiment is just buoyant enough that we may cross another milestones of 21K going ahead in the Nifty index.
All right. Many thanks, Akshay, for being with us on the show and discussing all your picks and stock ideas and the calls on various stocks that we've discussed today. Great to have you with us. Let's now shift focus on our corporate radar section, and the company on our focus today is Signature Global. Joining in with us is Mr. Pradeep Agarwal, Chairman of Signature Group as well, right ahead of their IPO now. In focus is the company. Very welcome to you, sir, Mr. Agarwal. Thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. First up, let's discuss about your IPO, and of course 20th September to 22nd September is the date when the IPO will be opened. The price band is 366 to 385 rupees per share with a lot size of 38 shares for per lot. The total issue size is 730 odd crore rupees with a fresh issue of 603 crores and an OFS of 127 odd crore rupees. So sir, I wanted to first begin by understanding from you, Mr. Agarwal, if you can hear me, on the fresh issue, 600 crore rupees odd, what do you plan to use the proceeds for, sir?
तो आज जो आपने प्रोसीडिंग्स का पूछा, 600 करोड़ जो है, ये हम अपना इसमें से 432 करोड़ जो हमारा लोन रीपेमेंट है उसके लिए यूज करेंगे, और बैलेंस जो है वो हम लगभग 170 करोड़ के नियर अबाउट जो हमारा फंड बनेगा उसको हम लैंड एक्विजिशन और कैपिटल जो वर्किंग कैपिटल है उसके लिए यूज करने वाले हैं।
ओके तो सर, आपका ये जो डेट रीपेमेंट हो जाएगा उसके बाद बैलेंस शीट पर कितना डेट बचेगा और उसका आगे किस तरीके से आप आउटलुक देख रहे हैं?
देखिए, अभी जो 31 मार्च 2023 का जो हमारा नेट डेट था वो 1100 करोड़ रुपए था। ये पेमेंट होने के बाद एक अच्छा बड़ा पोर्शन उसमें से डिडक्ट हो जाएगा। ऑफ कोर्स किसी भी रियल एस्टेट कंपनी के लिए जो डेट है वो बहुत मायने रखता है कि उसको कैसे रिड्यूस किया जाए। कहीं ना कहीं कंपनी का जो फोकस है वो इसी चीज पे है कि जो डेट है उसको कम से कम रखा जाए।
नमस्कार प्रदीप जी, स्वागत है आपका बिजनेस टुडे टेलीविजन में। हम सब दिल्ली के बाशिंदे हैं और आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं इस बहुत शानदार आईपीओ के लिए। मैं ये जानना चाह रहा था कि आपका लैंड बैंक किस साइज का है, कहाँ केंद्रित है नेशनल कैपिटल रीजन में, और ये जो कुछ पैसे आपके बचेंगे डेट पेमेंट करने के बाद और वर्किंग कैपिटल यूटिलाइज करने के बाद, तो क्या कुछ खरीदारी हो पाएगी दिल्ली में? जिस हिसाब से यहाँ पर प्राइसेस दिख रहे हैं आजकल, तो सेंट्रल दिल्ली में हजार करोड़ की कोठियां बिक रही हैं।
राइट, बिल्कुल सही आपने कहा। देखिए, आप जो डीएनए है सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल का, जेनेसिस, वो समझिए कि सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल एक ऐसी कंपनी है जो अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग और मिड इनकम हाउसिंग के अंदर दिल्ली एनसीआर के अंदर लगभग 19% का शेयर रखती है। आज हर 5वां घर इन दोनों सेगमेंट के अंदर सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल की टेबल से होकर गुजरता है। दूसरी बड़ी बात, क्योंकि कंपनी फोकसली अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग और मिड इनकम हाउसिंग पर रही है, मेजरली जो हमारा कंपोनेंट है वो गुरुग्राम और सबब द गुरुग्राम है। आप देखिए, गुरुग्राम जो है आज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में वन ऑफ द बेस्ट सिचुएशन इस वक्त उसकी है। द्वारका एक्सप्रेस वे जो कभी भी फ्लैग ऑफ हो सकता है, वो एक बहुत बड़ा टर्न अराउंड होगा रियल एस्टेट के लिए। और एक रिसेंटली एक कॉरिडोर ओपन हुआ है, सोना एलिवेटेड रोड, जो दिल्ली मुंबई कॉरिडोर को कनेक्ट करता है, जो राजीव चौक से सोना तक है। उसने पूरे के पूरे सबब को भी कहीं ना कहीं कनेक्ट कर दिया है। सो आप अगर इन दोनों चीजों को मिलाएं, अगर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग और मिड इनकम हाउसिंग को, तो गुरुग्राम की इटसेल्फ ही डिमांड इतनी ज्यादा है क्योंकि वहां का जो जो पोटेंशियल आ रहा है वो आ रहा है जॉब से। आप देखिए, बेस्ट आईटी का जो हब है, वो ऑटोमोबाइल का हब है,
जी
बेस्ट हेल्थ केयर वहां पर है, आईबी स्कूल्स बेस्ट वहां पर हैं। सो
जी जी।
आप ये देखिए कि इस पूरे के पूरे कॉम्बिनेशन से क्या हो रहा है, एक जॉब क्रिएशन हो रहा है। उस जॉब क्रिएशन से घरों की डिमांड बढ़ रही है। अच्छा,
हम्म,
दूसरी चीज, क्योंकि हमारा जो सेगमेंट है उसमें मोस्टली फर्स्ट टाइम होम बायर है। जो फर्स्ट
बिल्कुल।
टाइम होम बायर हैं वो मोस्टली सैलरीड क्लास हैं, और मोस्टली जो सैलरीड क्लास लोग हैं वो होम लोन आउट करते हैं। सो एक पूरा का पूरा इकोसिस्टम इससे रन होता है। और कहीं ना कहीं ये एक रीजन रहा है कि जो कंपनी ने रैपिडली 9 साल में ग्रोथ की है, कि लगभग
जी
6 मिलियन से ज्यादा हम डिलीवर कर चुके हैं। 17 मिलियन हमारे ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट हैं जो आने वाले 2 से 3 साल में हम डिलीवर कर चुके होंगे। और 21 मिलियन के नियर अबाउट की हमारी पाइपलाइन है। लेकिन जैसा कि आपने पूछा कि हम कहाँ लोकेटेड हैं, तो मोस्टली जो हमारा मेजर पोर्शन है वो गुरुग्राम और सब ऑफ द गुरुग्राम।
जी। रजत कथुरिया साहब जुड़ चुके हैं, चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑफिसर सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल के। नमस्कार रजत जी। यहाँ पर इस बात पर चर्चा हो रही है कि अफोर्डेबल की डेफिनेशन क्या है। प्रदीप जी कह रहे हैं सोना रोड पर जो फ्लाईओवर उठा है वहां से अगर आप आगे, मेरे ख्याल से अलवर तक जाता है वो फ्लाईओवर, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, वहां तक आप जाएं तो उसके इर्द गिर्द सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल के सिग्नेचर हस्ताक्षर आपको होते हुए दिखेंगे। अब जो डेफिनेशन अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की प्रदीप जी की है, वो हम जैसे गरीब लोगों की तो है नहीं, लेकिन फिर भी आप प्रकाश डालिए रजत जी। कहाँ कहाँ आप लैंड बैंक खरीदने की तैयारी कर रहे हैं? प्रदीप जी जुटा रहे हैं करीब 730 करोड़ रुपए।
Shailendra ji, first of all, thanks a lot for inviting us to your show. So, see, just a bit of background. So, Signature Global is a fairly young and a fast-growing company. We came into existence just about 10 years back, with our first project launched back in 2014, which was an affordable home. So, for us, affordable homes refer to a category wherein homes are less than 30 lakh rupees. We did that, homes in a continuous manner, in a sustained manner for many, many years and created very strong brand name for ourselves in the local market. As of today, Signature Global is a very strong brand and holds a leadership position when it comes to affordable and mid-income housing. So in terms of price points, affordable for us is less than 30 lakhs and mid-income is a little more wide because there is no price capping as far as mid-income products is concerned as per government stipulation. So, that could range anywhere from, in the current market scenario, let's say 80 lakhs to about 1.5 crores. So those are the price points for us in both the categories.
Okay. Uh, Rajat, many thanks for taking the time out and speaking to us on Business Today TV. I wanted to understand from you what is the kind of festive demand that you're looking at. We're just at the starting of the entire long festive season, and this is the time when most people go ahead, look for buying homes, especially in the segments that you are working with, the affordable segment. What is the kind of demand scenario? Because just ahead of this, we've been listening to a whole host of news flow and news reports. We've been reading headlines that, luxury homes have had a super sales right on day one. Pre-booking has happened. But for the affordable segment, do you think the festive season is going to see huge demand as well?
So see, demand in affordable and mid-income tends to be more non-cyclical in nature. So if you look at our last 3 years of performance, in FY21 we did about 1600 crores of pre-sales, whereas in FY23 that number had jumped up to 3430 crores. So within a span of 2 years, we've more than doubled, or you could say, have achieved about 42% sales CAGR. So demand in this segment is endless, is the way we look at it. I would like to say that there are more of supply constraints. It's a challenge that how much, as in housing industry, can be supplied. That's a bigger constraining factor than demand. And our, endeavor is to continuously come up with more launches, more products, so that we can offer it to our customers.
राइट। प्रदीप जी से वार्तालाप को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। प्रदीप जी, हम लोगों ने देखा किस हिसाब से स्टील, सीमेंट, लेबर कॉस्ट्स और दुनिया भर के जो टैक्सेस हैं वो पिछले 10 एक साल में इतने बढ़ गए हैं कि बिल्डर्स की मार्जिन स्क्वीज हो गई हैं। आपने अपना दायरा अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग में रखा है, जहां पर प्राइस पॉइंट 30 लाख 35 लाख के आसपास है। जरा कुछ बताइए किस तरीके से आपकी मार्जिन्स मूव करेंगी अगले 3 से 5 साल, क्योंकि हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि हर बिल्डर अब एस्पिरेशनल रास्ते पर निकल पड़ा है और वो कहता है कि भाई 7 करोड़ से नीचे का तो मैं मकान बेचूंगा ही नहीं। और वहां पर एक लंबी कतार है। 7 करोड़ के मकान के लिए 30 मिनट में 8,000 मकान बिक जाते हैं आपके गुड़गांव के इलाके में। आप बताइए किस तरीके से आप मार्जिन प्रेशर को हैंडल करते हैं?
भटनागर जी, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि हम बहुत फोकसली अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग और मिड इनकम हाउसिंग पर ही काम कर रहे हैं। ऑफ कोर्स हमारे लिए जो कमोडिटी प्राइजेस हैं वो हमें हिट करते हैं, और जो लैंड प्राइजेस भी अगर आप देखें पिछले 2 से 3 साल में वो राइज हुए हैं। लेकिन गवर्नमेंट जो है वो बहुत प्रोएक्टिव है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग को लेके। आप देखें कि जो हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट का जो प्राइस था आज से 3 महीने पहले तक, वो लगभग 4,200 रुपीज स्क्वायर फीट था, जो फिक्स प्राइस है। उसको बढ़ाकर 20% से ज्यादा प्राइस उन्होंने इंक्रीज किया है लास्ट 3 महीने पहले। ये तो एक पॉइंट है। दूसरा जो मिड इनकम है, मिड इनकम के अंदर कोई प्राइस की ब्लॉकिंग नहीं है। इस वजह से जो अगर हम देखें कि स्टार्टिंग जो हमारे प्राइस पॉइंट थे मिड इनकम के लॉन्च करने के, वो लगभग 6,500 रुपीज पर स्क्वायर फीट के थे, जो अब बढ़कर लगभग 9,000 रुपए हो गए हैं। ऐसे में जो भी चाहे लैंड प्राइस बढ़े या कमोडिटी प्राइस कहीं ना कहीं एकोमोडेट हो जाते हैं। और दूसरा जो कस्टमर है वो भी इस बात को अंडरस्टैंड करता है कि अगर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बेहतर हो रहा है, अगर लोकेशंस बेस्ट हैं, और जो डेवलपर है अगर वो इस बात के लिए कमिटेड है कि वो टाइम पर डिलीवरी दे देगा, तो मुझे लगता है वो थोड़ा बहुत प्रीमियम भी जो है वो देने के लिए तैयार हैं। जैसा कि आपने कहा कि लग्जरी घरों की डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है। देखिए, अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग और मिड इनकम हाउसिंग की डिमांड हमेशा से थी। जो लग्जरी हाउसिंग की डिमांड है वो लास्ट आपको 1 से 2 साल में ज्यादा नजर आई है। तो ऑल अक्रॉस द सेक्टर मुझे लगता है डिमांड इस वक्त बनी हुई है। मैं पहले भी बहुत सारे फोरम्स पे कहता रहा हूं कि ये जो डिकेट है ये अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग और मिड इनकम हाउसिंग का है। अगर रियल एस्टेट को ड्राइव करने वाला है तो यही एक ऐसा सेगमेंट है जो ड्राइव करने वाला है। क्योंकि आप ये देखिए कि जो मिड इनकम क्लास है वो बहुत ज्यादा इंक्रीज की है इस दौरान, और उसका कहीं ना कहीं डायरेक्टली इम्पैक्ट जो है वो रियल एस्टेट को उसका बेनिफिट मिल रहा होता है। बहुत मैं ऑप्टिमिस्टिक हूँ आने वाले टाइम के लिए। कम से कम 5 से 7 साल जो ये वाला जो बिजनेस है, मुझे लगता है कि कोई कंपटीशन नहीं है किसी तरीके का, क्योंकि ये सप्लाई कंस्ट्रेंट सिचुएशन है। आप जितना भी प्रोडक्शन करते हैं उसके मल्टीपल टाइम डिमांड आपके पास होती है। एक पिछला कोविड के बाद एक नया ट्रेंड भी देखने को मिला है कि दिल्ली से काफी लोगों ने गुरुग्राम में माइग्रेट करना शुरू किया है। उसका रीजन क्या है? प्राइस इंपैक्ट। क्योंकि दिल्ली के अंदर जो प्राइस है वो बहुत ज्यादा है और कंपैरेटिवली गुरुग्राम के अंदर प्राइसेस कम है अभी भी। उसका एक बहुत बड़ा रीजन रहा है, और जॉब की अपॉर्चुनिटी भी गुरुग्राम में है। तो ये एक रीजन रहा है जिसकी वजह से जो डिमांड है वो कहीं ना कहीं नजर आई।
प्रदीप जी और रजत जी, आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। मध्य वर्गीय भारत में 3 चीजों के बारे में हमेशा कहा गया है: रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान। और बीटीटीवी की तरफ से आप सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं कि आपका ये बहुत अच्छा आईपीओ बहुत बढ़िया तरीके से सब्सक्राइब हो, और हम लोग आपसे जुड़े रहेंगे। ये मेरे को देखना है कि सोहना रोड पर जहाँ पर वो फ्लाईओवर शुरू हुआ है अलवर की तरफ से, वहां पर कहाँ 30 लाख रुपए का मकान है। मैंने बहुत ढूंढा, मेरे को नहीं मिला, लेकिन आप कह रहे हैं और बना रहे हैं, और पिछले 10 साल से बना रहे हैं, तो जरूर वहां पर आप की बहुत तरक्की होगी। और इस आईपीओ के लिए आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं हम लोगों की तरफ से।
बहुत बहुत थैंक यू।
Many thanks. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right, let's get back to the markets. Just before we wrap up the show, the market's ticking even higher, 20,150 odd mark on the Nifty, 43 points uptick, and the Sensex also holding up 145 points higher at 67,666 right now. Shell, like you pointed out, of course, it's the auto majors. Bajaj Auto definitely the clear in top gainer on the Nifty 50, followed by Hero Moto. We have Eicher Motors, so it's M&M as well. The auto stocks really moving higher in trade, followed by PSU banks, IT, a lot of buzzing sectors. And this rally and this party is likely to continue, and it's likely to turn out to be a great Friday for all of us. But I'm sure you're the one who's going to have a harder party tonight because you're in
Absolutely.
Dubai, the city of parties. So enjoy your weekend, and we shall get back on Monday again to understand, what have you got for us from Dubai over the weekend too. Many thanks for being with us. Let's quickly look at the closing levels on the Nifty gainers pack as well. On the gaining front, you have Coal India, HCL Technologies, Tata Motors also taking higher in trade, and these energy names are likely to buzz throughout the trading session. We'll continue to watch out for these momentum stocks and help you understand what are the expert views. So do stay tuned onto with us on Business Today TV to catch all the updates from the world of business and stock markets. Until then, thanks for tuning in.
The India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor announced at the G20 summit goes back to an ancient trade route between the Indian subcontinent and the Roman Empire. The existence of this trade route peaked in the early centuries of the Common Era, and it's been known for a long time. However, the scale of this ancient trade route is emerging only now.